Morning, everyone.
Hello?
So who here has used Booking.com? Can I just see a show of hands? Okay, pretty much everyone. For the maybe one or two of you out here who have not raised your hands, Booking.com makes up the vast majority of revenue that Priceline.com brings in, which is around $11 billion a year. 15,000 employees, 98 offices around the world, operating in just about every single country. So huge in the travel world. Today we're going to talk with Gillian about AI and Booking.com's efforts there. So why don't I start by asking you, what is the unique challenge that AI can solve in travel?
Yeah, so I think AI can transform travel. I think a lot of people talk about it, a lot of people have opinions, and I think eventually it's going to have a huge impact, and the experience that also companies like Booking deliver to customers. I do think today, and we know that because we put all of our products through rigorous testing, we know that there's still a lot of work to do and a lot of learnings to do to make this really work for customers.
So what are some of the early learnings that you have? And I guess then how are you applying those to applications on Booking.com?
Yeah, I think there's two challenges if you think about AI for travel, right? The first challenge is that the way our interfaces work with customers is a lot on clicking and typing, right? So that means not only AI, but many more functions in your company need to adjust, and we need to learn how to make that work. Secondly, if you think about travel, and if you think about even saying somebody wants to go to Rome and say, well, give me the best accommodation for me in Rome, there's 8,000 choices in Rome, right? So it's complicated to make that work for customers, right? And so there's a lot of learning there. Booking, of course, has been active already in a lot of areas with AI. If you think about the Booking Assistant, the Booking Assistant is an interface which already works with many customers, which basically is a machine where customers can ask questions and they get an automated response in their own language already. So that's something that is very active today.
And do you find that customers like that?
Because and that's something that customers want answers fast, right? That's what customers want. They don't want to take a long time before they find out the answer. Booking.com is a company which, of course, cannot always answer questions. We also need to make sure we get information from the accommodations as well. So making that interface faster is actually great for customers. And basically, if you think about translations, Booking has been leading if you think about machine translations. We already have that active in 9 languages today. We operate in 43 languages with Booking. And you see with machine translations, we're able, through the Booking Assistant, to provide answers in their own language, but also communicate with properties in their own language. So that actually gives a better response. Also, we can translate review content for customers. So there's a lot of opportunities with machine translations. And we've been recognized that we're leading in that space today.
And so on the recommendation front, that's really interesting to me because it's very difficult to discern someone's taste and serve them exactly what they want. How close are you guys to being able to do that?
Yeah, so ideally, I always say it's my dream if somebody says, well, I want to go on holiday, that we can basically roll out that whole trip for customers. But there's still
essentially a travel agent.
Yeah,
companies like yours disrupted the travel agent, and now you're recreating a robot travel agent.
And I think we can disrupt it again. At least that's what we would like to do. But there's still, if you think about, there's still 2 questions which customers struggle with today, and which is extremely complicated. The first question is, where am I going to go for my holiday? And the second question is, what am I going to do once I arrive? And I think AI technology really can solve these 2 questions in a much better way. If you think about where am I going to go for my holiday, people spend today longer time planning than the holiday itself, right? Which some of that is good planning, which people like. I like that as well, right? With your family to see where do we want to go, and then that's actually very exciting. But there's a big part of that which has friction, right? When you try to bring everything together and then it doesn't work, or you cannot get the accommodation you want, etc. And I think there, Booking can play a very active role. And eventually, I think AI can make travel much more personalized, which is, of course, fantastic.
So AI is a huge trend that's sweeping across every single aspect of the tech industry. It's a really big shift, and it kind of reminds me a little bit of the way that Booking.com had to switch from a desktop site where people primarily book their booking on a desktop site. Yeah. It's called Booking.com, and you guys made a big shift to mobile. Yes. Do you see that? I mean, how do those shifts compare? Like looking into AI now?
Yeah, and I think people often ask me, so. Are you now a technology company, or do you now need to change to say I'm mobile first, or now we're changing it to AI first? I mean, we're a customer first company, and I think as long as you keep measuring how you can build better products for customers, even when we did it when there was a desktop and we actually serviced the booker, we went to the traveler when we went on mobile, right, where we were able to do much more for customers. And the same we're doing for AI to see how can we use that technology to build an even better experience.
And so there are a lot of other trends out there in the tech industry, and including AR and VR. And I know that's one area that you guys have decided that you're not going to invest in. Can you tell me a little bit about that decision?
Where we're not investing in?
That's what I understood.
Well,
maybe not.
I think we're extremely focused, right? And you need to make sure you invest in it. Well, you need to learn in any technology, right? To see what it means for your product, what it means for customers. But the investment, if you go big into a certain technology, you need to make sure that you're doing the right thing for customers. That when you start doing that, and that's also what you will see with Booking, and that there's many things we tried and couldn't make work, right? So, and I think that's only good, but it doesn't mean that that can change over time again.
And so what was it? What about it wasn't working for you guys?
Oh, well, we tested many things, right? Video in the past, which we saw that was too much for customers, right? To look at videos as to the amount of time they spend on the page. That doesn't mean that can change in the future, so you continuously need to test what works and what doesn't work.
That's really interesting because, I mean, a lot of social companies are very focused on time spent and increasing attention, and your goal is actually to allow people to get off of your site faster.
Yes, our goal has always been to make it, of course, as easy as possible to book an accommodation, and as frictionless as possible to book an accommodation.
And so, talking about AI, you guys recently acquired an AI-focused company. Can you tell the crowd a little bit more about that? And do you have to make acquisitions to really get into AI? Because the competition for talent is really intense.
Yeah, so we look at both, right? We look at acquisitions, but we also have our own talent in Booking. We decided to acquire a company that already built bots in our industry, which now we're actually testing within for Booking customers, right? But also that's a very small audience today. But it will have both in the future. And I think there's great startups out there that are doing great things. So it will be a combination of both.
So you're still on the prowl for AI acquisitions, perhaps?
Yeah, we're always on the lookout for acquisitions.
And so you mentioned that you're testing a lot of things. And what specifically do you have live now? And why can't you roll things out to all of your customers at once?
Yeah, well, I mean, Booking has been known for the testing culture, right? We do over 1,000 experiments every day on consumers. If you think about with machine learning techniques, you will see that throughout all of our products today, right? So what happens is that we will make it work in one area and see how we can make it work in more areas. And that's how we roll out these new techniques, right? Which in the machine learning, we're able to make work in a lot of areas. In AI, before you put it in front of many customers, you need to make sure that it's really solving a problem that customers are facing today before you actually put it in front of all of your customers.
Any learnings that you can share from some of those tests?
Learnings from that. Well, learnings we've had, if you think about AI as well in the Booking Assistant, right?
Yeah.
There's lots of topics which customers have issues with, which we put in our Booking Assistant. But we've learned some of that the customers were not ready for, some customers are ready for, so it really depends, right? We have now, I think, 13 topics live, which we're actively helping. But what you need to do is we have our customer care team behind it as well, because it's still today, you cannot trust that machine will do everything that customers are looking for.
What areas would you say that you're ahead of your competition on as relates to AI, and which ones are you playing catch up on?
Yeah, that's always difficult to say because I think many companies are still learning a lot in that space. I think one area for sure is if you think about machine translations, for instance, that's something that we are leading in also because Booking has been so international from day one. We already offer 43 languages, and I don't think there's many competitors that do that today. So that's, we certainly are leading. I think with the Booking Assistant as well, how far we are already into utilizing that product. I think that's very advanced if I compare it, but it's always difficult to exactly compare this.
And we're running low on time, but I want to ask you one question that's a little bit off topic on the topic of diversity. You guys released some new data this morning, and you have a mentorship program that you're doing over there. Can you share a little bit more about what you're doing?
Yeah, so if anybody has time, actually behind this whole, we have the Women in Tech Lounge, which we are sponsoring with Booking.com, which basically does on-site mentoring for women. And also, if you have time, please nominate women you know for our Tech Playmakers Awards, which is something that we're putting out for women that really disrupted and transformed industries and businesses.
Mm-hmm. And can we just maybe close with some general thoughts on the future of e-commerce? I mean, your job as CEO is to look 10 years out and make sure that you're ahead of the competition and serving the customers. So maybe you can share some sort of general thoughts of the direction that you see e-commerce and online travel going.
Yeah, if I think for Booking.com, what we are building towards is really rebuilding the platform of experiences, right? I think in the future, people will have more time and freedom to discover the world. And I think Booking is in a perfect place to start delivering more of these experiences than we do today. We went from hotels into accommodations. We have over 1.5 million accommodations active today, but we are also now offering in-stay experiences to customers, right? So you see Booking is expanding to really think about how can we make that whole trip as good as possible.
And when you said accommodations, how do you define that? Because when I hear that, I think hotels accommodation, it makes me it sounds like Airbnb. Is that in reaction to that at all?
Well, we have over 30 categories on Booking.com today, which goes from hotels, bed and breakfast, apartments, holiday homes, I mean, even tree houses, houseboats in Amsterdam, you name it, right? Because we see more and more that people want this diversity as well in the type of accommodation they choose. And Booking.com really focuses on the breadth of selection. We want to make sure that customers see everything that's out there in a destination so they can make the best choice for them.
All right, any closing thoughts? We have 30 seconds left.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right, thanks a lot.
Thank you. Okay, bye-bye.